post-workout shake. Oh, all right. We just waiting on my guy Andy to get here. Um, oh, he just got here. Here we go. This is my first time using this, by the way, so I'm trying to connect.
Hey,
There he is. What's up, man? How are you?
how are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm hanging in there. How's everything going?
It's going good. Thanks. Where are you right now?
I'm in California now.
Oh, you are okay.
Yeah, I am.
When did you get back to the West Coast?
Woo! I got back a little while, like right before the craziness started to happen.
Okay.
We got out of New York and were able to come and be at the house and enjoy a yard and a little space during this hiatus right now.
Yeah. Are you all healthy? You healthy? You well?
Yeah, I'm healthy. Everything is going great. This is, just trying to figure out routine and a balance with all of the time that we have, off right now. But it's challenging, but it's what we have. So.
Yeah. I mean, this, it's interesting. I was chatting with Kevin Love last week.
Right.
And just saying, kind of, for you guys, look, this is a surreal time for everybody. But to have been kind of transported from the normal kind of week to week life that you're living to what's going on right now, like big change, big transition. Like, how do you stay mentally focused, knowing that at some stage the league might resume or the season might resume this season? Kind of, how does that work?
I think that's the toughest part because the season will be over. Regular season will be over later on this week.
Yeah.
So it's weird to have been off for a month with no games, but you're still trying to work out and figure out a way to keep your body where it was, and even better going into this hiatus that we're doing now. But I think it's tough, man. But because it feels like the off season, but it's obviously not, because in off season you're able to travel and be around your family and friends, and but this case is very different. So the circumstances that we have now, I think that we just kind of gotta deal with them one day at a time, and because this has never happened before, so I think we just go with it every day. It changes every day. Yeah.
Do you check in with all your teammates, or do you check in as a team?
I do. We have a group chat, so we talk a ton. We probably talk too much, but it's a way to keep us connected. Yeah. We're doing a lot of video conference workouts and calls with each other. But I just think we talk more so for camaraderie and information, because that's, as in the NBA, the fraternity, that's how it is. You guys, we spend so much time with each other, even more so than our families at times. And so just being able to keep connecting with those guys has been great.
And a lot of them presumably are still back on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, I know a handful of guys went home, but some guys obviously stayed there. And but to each his own, man. I needed some space.
I get it. I get it.
I needed some space, man.
I'd have done the same. But any of those guys, or the families or communities that they're living in, been impacted kind of directly by any of this yet?
I think we all have been impacted by it, whether or not you have been infected by the virus or not. Everybody has been affected by it somewhat. The news, obviously, some of our teammates had the virus, and those guys are great now. But it affects not only our teams, but our league, our families, the entire world. So we got to figure out a way to be safe and protect each other, regardless if it has an effect on you, it has an effect on somebody you know or somebody you love, or just our community in general. But like I said, it's been tough. So what's your routine like during this time?
Mine?
Yeah.
So look, I don't know about you, DeAndre. I love routine. I know, like, some people kind of like their lives like that, and other people like to kind of be very free and spontaneous. And I like a little bit of both, but I know I'm better, and I feel healthier and happier when I turn up with routine. So obviously, at home, the kids are at home, they're not at school. So juggling sort of that component. We're very fortunate. We have a little bit of kind of space at home so the kids can run around. They're two really energetic young boys.
Right.
Yeah, I still try and meditate at least kind of once a day. I still try and do an hour a day if I can.
Right.
I try and exercise. So we've got an exercise bike at home. There's some places we can still run. It's getting more and more difficult, I would say, to go out running. To begin with, for kind of still practice social distancing. Tricky. There's like more and more people on the street, and all the runners are kind of doing this now. It's trying to avoid each other. See, everyone's running out into the street in front of cars. But I would say that if I can find some time in the day to do something for my mind, something for my body, to play with my kids, like to kind of have some family time, to still make sure I'm getting sleep as well. Like, big thing for me is kind of continue. I still, as all the days start to blend, like I still try and go to bed every single night the same time as though I was working the next day. I get up really early.
I haven't been able to do that.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to go to sleep at the same time every day. Like, it's been the routine has been a little. My bedtime has not been the way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, in the daytime, I have routine. Wake up,
I get it.
Work out, hang out with my little guy who's 4.
Okay, nice.
We'll do little segments of schoolwork.
Yeah.
Kind of like, okay, I'm over this. I want to go play. You know. So we'll do little segments of that. But like I said, as far as routine goes, it's kind of tough because you have to figure out plans to stay in your home, or if you want to walk around the neighborhood a little bit. So that's the toughest part. And so I feel like, obviously, with kids, it's kind of, they can be a little, fidgety at times.
Hard, right?
I don't want to sit here. My 4-year-old, he understands that, okay, well, we can't really hang out with our friends because some people are sick and we can't be sick. So he gets that, but he still doesn't understand, why do I have to talk to people on the computer? I want to see them in person,
Right.
So that's the toughest part. Yeah.
Have you come into contact with friends or teammates or anywhere where you've kind of seen them from a distance? We have a few instances kind of on our street, even where like friends will show up and they'll put out kind of like beach chairs and stuff on the outside the gate, and then the kids will be on the inside and they're chatting. But for the kids, it's so hard to understand kind of why they can't just go and grab the gate and go outside and be.
Yeah, that's what I think for kids. It's got to be tough. So I don't like the tips that I don't even know. Maybe you can answer this question, but I don't know what we've been practicing social distancing here in my household. So it's kind of tough, but I think that I would want to know what tips that you could give to parents who have kids at home right now who are, dealing with a little uncertainty or anxiety at the time. And, because for kids, it's like, no, I want to be able to play. I'm not in school. I should be able to play with my friends.
100%.
But for adults, we understand it a little differently. So I just think that any tips that we could have for parents or caregivers at this time who have kids, that would be huge.
Yeah. Well, look, number one, if you're a parent at home right now and having a tough time, like, no, you're not alone. I think so. It's a big thing that and it doesn't matter obviously it's harder the smaller the space, the more lively the kids, the younger the kids, like sometimes the more challenging it can be, for sure. But I do think kind of just knowing that, like lots of other people are going through the same thing can sometimes kind of help.
Right.
So look, there's different kind of views on this, and I know it depends on the age of the child. I think that if children, and obviously I come from England, I come from Europe, where we tend to start school kind of a little bit kind of later. So I'm of the opinion, and this isn't my wife's opinion, by the way. I'll tell you about that in just a moment, Andre. But this is my opinion. Kind of, if the kids are 5 or younger, I know there are some preschools doing amazing stuff via Zoom and all kinds of things, and there's some great facilities and services on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. I kind of feel like at that age, the most important thing we can do as parents is be there for our children and show them love, show them patience. When they're having a tough time, knowing that it's not necessarily because they're just being naughty or they're acting out. It's because they're as confused as the rest of us as to why life has suddenly kind of changed and stopped. Right. So my bar as a parent, I mean, it's exceptionally low, but at the end of the day, you know, if our boys are alive and they're healthy and they're both smiling, for me that's a good day. And in the current circumstances, even if they've not necessarily done anything educational in the sense of the education system, academic,
Right.
if they've been kind of out and about and just exploring, I genuinely quite like the idea in a world where kids are regularly overscheduled. I actually quite like the idea of the kids getting bored and
Yeah.
having to find things to do, to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
creative. I feel like that's a life skill that we're losing.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know,
yeah. Yeah.
how's it happened in your household?
Well, like I said, man, we're trying to figure out ways to make every day different, and to
Yeah,
where he's interested in different things every day. Because if I'm like, hey, let's go work on your letters and
yeah,
words today, he's kind of like, no, I want to watch Paw
yeah.
Patrol or
I
something
know,
like that.
yeah.
You know, and I'm like, no, it's 15 minutes, little segments of 15 minutes, you know. But I know, I mean, when I was 15, I couldn't sit still for 15 minutes, let alone 4. So I know that has to be tough. But I think that making it exciting for him as much as possible, trying to somewhat make it into a normal day.
Yeah.
So like I said, we try to have a routine where we either ride bikes or go on walks or watch TV. But a lot of the times, you know, I'm a monster trying to get him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, I mean, with this quarantine beard, I do look like a monster. I'm losing my top lip. But it's been fun, man. I think that we all are learning the value of, you know, family time and figuring out yourself during this time. You know what I mean? Because at any time we can go meet a friend or, you know, be around 12 teammates, but at this time, you know, you have to be around a very small group of people, so you start to really focus on yourself. And I think that that's a big thing in meditation, especially for me. I know for you, figuring out, you know, what makes DeAndre or what makes Andy happy. Let's go, you know, and give back to the next generation, and so on and so forth. So I think that this time is big. It's obviously hectic and tragic right now, but I think that we'll come out of this a lot stronger, though.
Yeah. Have you ever tried doing any? What's your son's name, by the way?
Jaden.
Okay. Have you ever tried doing any meditation with him?
We do more so like meditation, but in a breathing exercise kind of way. Yeah. Because I don't want to tell him to sit there and try to empty his mind, because I know he'll be like peeking. Done, you know. So I'll be like, okay, let's do 10 deep breaths. And then if he's into it, then he'll go. But if he's like wants to do the next activity, then he'll sit there and go. And I'm like, all right, let's start over, and then we'll do it right. But he's great, man. He does the breathing exercises, and I think that that's huge, especially when you know, a normal day, but also when something may become irritating, like a 15-minute, you know, school segment that we're doing at home, or you know, he may get frustrated riding it. We got a bike, so we're teaching him how to ride the bike on the train. You know, you know, we were trying to get that motion, and sometimes he'll get frustrated, which is understandable. So we'll try to do some breathing exercises there in the middle to try to just get him to calm down a little bit. But I think you know, I wish that I had that when I was younger, and obviously I picked up on it late, which has been great for me. But instilling that into kids at a young age, I think is big for humanity later.
Yeah, it's massive, right? There was a quote from the Dalai Lama a few years back. He was like, if every child under the age of 8 learned how to meditate, there would be no future wars. I think it's maybe a little optimistic. He's the Dalai Lama. He can be as optimistic as he likes, you know. But I do think there's something, right? It's amazing, right, that we kind of go to school and we learn all these other kind of things, and we don't necessarily learn, or in the past we haven't necessarily learned the basic skills of how to calm the mind, how to develop patience. How, like, the assumption is that we will just have those skills. They're part of being human, and then we grow up and we realize, oh, actually, it's harder. It's harder
Yeah.
than that. We
No,
don't
it's
just
very
have those
hard. It's
skills.
very, very tough. I mean, even if you started when you're 25, 30 years old, whatever,
Yeah.
it's still tough. So I think, like I said, at an early age, whether it's, you know, small things like breathing or taking a second, taking 10 seconds just to kind of calm down and reset your mind and body is huge. So I think that that's big. So I have a question for you.
Sure.
What tips would you give anyone, you know, any age group that will want to incorporate meditation, mindfulness, any kind of practice into their daily routines now?
So number one, kind of know that it's universal, it's timeless, and anyone can do it. So you might because a lot of people don't meditate because they think they would be no good at it. They think that their mind is too busy. Well, yeah, that's kind of the point. That's why we do it. It's not a reason not to do it. And people are often kind of worried that it's like, I don't know, it comes from a different place, right? It's it kind of has a certain amount of cultural kind of baggage. So I always remind people kind of, we're essentially focusing on the breath. Awareness is universal, attention is universal, and we're learning how to realize when we're getting distracted. And as we practice that, to begin with, we get distracted a lot. Yeah. Over time, we get distracted less. Right now, we are all distracted a lot because just the amount of chatter on social, the speed of the news cycle, perhaps the anxiety around the health of our families and our friends, our communities. So know that all that stuff is challenging, but know that it is possible for all of us to take some time out. So prioritize the health of the mind. So like we will never kind of get to meditate unless we kind of say, okay, it's good for my mind when I take time out for myself. And we might think that that's selfish right now, taking time out for ourselves when other people are suffering. But you'll know this as a dad, kind of, you take time out, you come back as a better dad.
Yeah, right.
You come back as a better husband or wife or brother or whatever it kind of might be. It's never just for ourselves. It's always kind of how we kind of then show up in the world. So I would say find a time in the day. And don't start big. Don't think kind of like I'm going to sit for like half an hour. Like think, okay, 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Start with that. That's enough to make a real difference.
Yeah.
Tie it to something you already do. So if you have a shower every morning, think, okay, shower and meditate, or coffee and meditate. So there's something pre-existing that you already do, so you're less likely to forget kind of how to do it. And then get some guidance, whether it's with Headspace or another app or a teacher, you know, like find a way of someone just leading you through it. I always think about it like driving the car for the first time. I had no idea. If someone had let me into the car on my own, I'd have probably crashed it, and I might have given up driving. Yeah. Meditation's the same. Don't crash the car. Yeah. Like let someone kind of guide you through it, talk you through it, and it makes such a big difference, man.
Yeah, it does. It's huge, man. I think that, and I agree with you. I started off with like 1 minute, and then I would go to 3, then 5, then I moved to 7, then 10, and now, like, I mean, meditation is a practice, you know, so we're always getting better at it. And I'm up to 25 minutes a session. Right. So for me, that feels awesome, you know, and I just want to, you know, add time on, but I feel like you'll know what is enough for you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And
exactly.
And I've been doing it for a few years now, so I think that to each his own. Like, you know, you're gonna start out, you may start low, and then for some people it may be super tough, you know what I mean? To be able to empty your mind, but we're never gonna be able to empty our mind completely.
That's the thing.
Way, you know? So I think that us just being able to focus on trying to do it is a step, and you're already on that path, you know.
What are the benefits over the last couple of years, DeAndre, that you've seen kind of in your own life, in your own mind?
Well, for me, I think it started for me when I had Jaden.
Yeah.
So that teaches you patience from the get-go. But for me, I just wanted to become better for not only him, but for my physical and mental health down the line, you know, through basketball, after basketball, for my family. And, you know, more importantly for Jaden and for myself as a person. So for me, I think that I still get a few texts every year in the NBA, but I think that they have gone down, you know, because I know, like, okay, well, this isn't worth me arguing about, or this isn't worth me flipping out over about, because we all are emotional. We all are emotional beings, and we get that. But if you're able to really think about, okay, well, is this really important?
Yeah.
Or does this scenario deserve a blow up reaction out of me?
Yeah.
You know, let me think about it for 30 seconds, you know, breathe about it. And then I'm sure once you come out of that 30 seconds of actually thinking, okay, is this really important? Then it's more times than not, it probably doesn't need that crazy reaction that you would normally give to it. So I think it definitely puts you in tune with your emotions and patience and your surroundings on what's really important in your life.
Yeah. It's been really interesting chatting. I've worked a lot with teams and athletes like over the years, and one of the things that's always fascinated me is that very often it's something that's taken on and adopted for as a performance kind of tool maybe, but just how it bleeds out into the rest of the life. And speaking to athletes kind of years on down the road, yeah, like they might still, you know, it's part of their game, but actually it's more about just how they show up in life and with their families, and for, you know, how they feel on a daily basis.
I agree with you. I think it's huge, man. I think for me, I do it more so for me as a person and for my everyday lifestyle and mental health, you know, I want to be better at all of these things. But then you can incorporate them into your workspace, into your family life. And, you know, everybody, you know, has different ups and downs throughout their life. And I know for me, with my job in particular, it's a very emotional job, you know, and the roller coasters are very high and low. And, you know, we wouldn't be where we are today if we weren't competitive and emotional like that. But I think the more times that I can keep it here, the better it is, you know, not only for me health-wise, but for our team and my family collectively as a whole.
I got so I was thinking last night. So I've been fortunate enough, or Headspace been fortunate enough to work with the NBA for the last few years, and one of the things I love about the NBA is that once a year, kind of, you have the rookie training kind of program where everyone, and I don't know, I can't think of another league in the world where everybody coming into that sport at that level, at that elite level, comes together. Because it was interesting in sort of meeting a lot of those guys and teaching meditation and mindfulness, thinking that, okay, in 5 or 10 years time, every single person in the league would have at least had exposure to that. And I was thinking, I can't think, does that in American sports, does that happen anywhere else?
As far as
like all the rookies, like all the new players coming into the league, would all kind of get together and have that kind of exposure to something?
I think that it was good for me when I did it 12 years ago or so, because you're coming into a different workspace, to a different work environment. And for a lot of us who came into the league, we were 19 years old. You know, we're still trying to figure out life. So I feel like that program was pretty good. It was far away and kind of isolated, but I can kind of understand why, because, you know, you're coming into something that's a billion-dollar business, and, you know, you want to be able to be prepared in the way that you can. And we both know that, you know, the only thing constant in life is change, right? So you got to be able to adapt. And a former coach of mine once said, you know, you have to be comfortable being in these uncomfortable situations. So I feel like, you know, with not only that program, but meditation in general, it helps you kind of hone those emotions and to where you are comfortable in almost any situation.
So I'd love, in a minute, if it's cool with you, I'd love to just do a quick exercise maybe that people can kind of use at home. But before we do that, DeAndre, any other things that you're finding in your life right now, kind of in the current situation, that you're finding, either things that you started doing and that you're finding are benefiting you, your family, your mind, or things that you stopped doing? Kind of, I've noticed with chatting with a lot of friends, people are really starting to, within the confines of their own home, they're really starting to examine kind of like what makes them feel good, and they're trying to do more of that.
Yeah.
Not always successfully, but sometimes. And what makes them feel bad, you know, like kind of maybe spending 8 hours of screen time a day on their phone or whatever it might be, and kind of trying to do less of that, are the things that you're starting to see of, actually, I don't know if I want to keep doing this, or I'm going to do more of this.
Well, I think for me, like during this time, like I said before, it really has you, it forces you to become in tune with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and what makes you click in a positive way or a negative way. But like, I think that for me, routine, like being able to work out, you know, more days, and just staying somewhat positive. I think that we've done puzzles, like we've done a lot of different things. We've done a lot of different things that for me, like I know I wouldn't do, but they're also calming things. Like, I probably have never done a 1,000-piece puzzle until these last couple weeks, and just being able to just sit there and kind of calm down, and because it's not like, oh, I'm gonna go hang with my friends, I'm gonna go do this. It's like, no, like you have to find something that can keep you focused and locked in and get better at something than you know, just watching TV, which we do that at times too. Like it's just okay.
Us too.
You know, I have nothing to do today. It's rainy outside. I want to sit down and watch a movie. So, or watch some TV shows, whatever it is. I think that, like you said, having a routine during this time is something that you can, you know, keep up at and have something that is just becomes second nature and it's just part of your everyday life. That's big.
Cool. And I have one more question for you. So right now, one of the nicest things over the last couple of weeks in kind of chatting to various people on Take 10 has been kind of just hearing about some of the stories, kind of because it's a horrible time, it's a difficult time, and yet there are some beautiful stories coming out of it. There are, whether it's kind of the resilience and like bravery of healthcare workers, whether it's like all the Italians and Spanish people coming out on their balconies and singing to kind of each other. And I've seen in the UK back home as well, like people coming out and kind of clapping every weekend and banging saucepans to show their appreciation for kind of healthcare workers and stuff. Are there any kind of particular stories or things that you've heard about either within your own community here or back on the East Coast that have kind of moved you or inspired you?
Well, I think I've just been able to see all the social media posts, you know, people coming out on their balcony, like you said, you know, making noise for healthcare workers, and just being able to really support each other during this time, because this time is tough, as we know. And I think that, you know, going through this, you don't think of, it's not about, you know, gender, it's not about race, it's not about sexuality, it's not about different classes you are. Anybody and everybody can be affected by this. And I think that this, like I said, we're going to come out of this, I believe, better as people. And, you know, knowing that, you know, this may not affect me, but it may affect my grandmother or my aunt or my friend's family, you know, then you start to think about people other than yourself. And then you think about it deeper, and you know that, okay, we're all connected, you know, whether realize that or not, we all are connected somehow during this, and this affects everybody. So I think us being able to know that and care about one another, we'll know that, okay, well, I can only be better or be a good version of myself if this person is that also. So
it's an interesting thing, right? That idea of, like, right now there's all that, there's a sentiment of kind of we're in it together, and although we're all experiencing it differently, we are all in it together. And it's strange that it takes something like this for us to realize that we've always been in this together as human beings. We will always be in it together as human beings, but it's very rare to have that collective global lens to look through, where we all kind of start to feel a bit more that sense of being interconnected, and hopefully being there for one another a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. Hell yeah.
So look, we're gonna do a quick little exercise. So for anyone who's interested in kind of just getting their foot in the door, meditation, we'll make it short and sweet. DeAndre, what do you normally focus on your breath, or?
When I normally do it, I sit down, I focus on my breath, then I'll go through each of my chakras to make sure in line and kind of. But I'm following your lead, so I'm ready.
Okay, man. All right, well, we'll do a couple of minutes. I think we'll do a body scan. So we'll go in reverse. So we're gonna start at the top of the head, and we're gonna go down and just finish up on the breath.
Right.
Feel free to, if you want to lie down there, DeAndre, or sit down, whatever's most comfortable. If you're at home tuning in, you can do this, as I say, lying down, sitting down, doesn't matter too much. The most important thing is that for the next couple of minutes you're not going to be disturbed, and that's a big ask right now, because there's a good chance your kids are going to come in and jump on you. If they do, it's fine. I kind of feel like with meditation we're asked to embrace the madness, our neurosis, all the craziness of the mind. And I feel like actually right now, kind of outside of ourselves, we're being asked the same thing. Just embrace it all, kind of let it happen. So take a moment. We're going to start with the eyes open to begin with. And I'm just, wherever you are, just try to get a soft focus. So without actually moving the eyes, you just take in the whole space in front of you, around you. And the idea of that is just to sort of relax the mind. So we're not concentrating on one small thing or focusing too hard. We're just taking in that whole space. And just maintaining that. Just take a big, deep breath, breathing in through the nose. And as you breathe out through the mouth, just gently closing the eyes, feeling the weight of the body sink down against the seat beneath you. And just taking a moment to pause and to appreciate that feeling of having stopped. And as you sit there, just begin to notice how the body feels today. So heavy, light, restless, still, without thinking about it, just noticing how it feels. And the easiest way to get a sense of how the body feels is to scan down. So we're going to start at the top of the head. Take about 30 seconds just to gently scan down through the body and just begin to notice where are those areas of comfort, any areas of discomfort. Again, you don't have to do anything to try and change it, but just starting to notice how the body feels. So as you're doing this, the mind's going to wander. It's fine. Just notice when you've been distracted, let it go, and gently bring your attention back again as we continue down through the body. Moving down the legs now. All the way down to the feet and the toes. And take your own time to get there. If you finish early, you can just shift your attention to the breath. And no need to breathe in any special way. We're just gently resting the attention on that rising and falling sensation of the breath. And just knowing that you can step out of any thinking, you can step out from feeling overwhelmed at any time during the day. Just scanning down through the body, coming back to the breath, and just staying with that for as long as you feel comfortable. For now though, you can just gently bring the attention back to the body, coming back to that feeling of weight, contact, any sounds around you, and you can open your eyes whenever you feel ready. Thanks, DeAndre.
Thank you, man. And I think that was great, by the way. And I think, like, people think, man, I need to have an hour to meditate or whatever it is just to be able to, feel good about it. But 1 minute is huge for somebody. If you can sit with your own thoughts and own breath for a minute, then that's big, and you just build off of that, whether it's every week, every month, whatever it is, at your own pace.
Yeah.
That's big, man.
It is, and it's worth saying as well, pretty much most of the science now shows us it's more about frequency rather than duration. So for sure, build up over time because you're likely to get a great, or you're likely to experience calm for that much kind of longer, or a sense of clarity for that much longer. But you can get all the benefits in quite a short period of time, you know.
Right.
So, Donnie, thanks again for dropping in today, and I hope you and your families continue to be healthy and well, and you maintain some sanity with Jaden running around the place and, you know, causing mayhem.
You too, man. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks, and take care.
Yes, sir. Thanks. Thank you, guys. Later.